Well, our next story will shock you to the core, especially if you are a coffee lover or someone who swears by energy drinks. A 28-year-old Florida woman, also fitness freak, died from a sudden heart attack in August 2021. And now, her mother claims that energy drinks were the reason behind her untimely death. Katie Donnell, a teacher from Florida, also popularly known in a circle as Workout Queen, took up 3 energy drinks per day. Reportedly, not just that, she regularly consumed coffee and caffeine supplements before her workouts. Not unusual for those who work out on a daily basis and consider all these energy drinks as a staple source for energy. In August 2021, Donnell was with her friends when she suffered a heart attack. She could not be revived when the ambulance arrived. Recalling the event, her mother says that Katie was without oxygen for too long, which ultimately led to brain damage. And this is really distressing at this point of time. A young life lost in the prime of her life. What was the reason for it? According to her mother, it was her constant abuse of caffeine and energy drinks which caused her death. Energy drinks, which are rich in caffeine and sugar, are widely marketed to youngsters. The risk of an overload is all too apparent, and so are the possibilities of cardiovascular problems in the young. In the recent past, several deaths have been reported among teenagers frequently consuming energy drinks. This prompted the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA, to put a cap on daily caffeine intake and recommend a maximum of 400 mg daily in healthy adults. But in the UK, most supermarkets have introduced a voluntary ban on sale of energy drinks to people under the age of 16. And a complete ban was proposed in England and Scotland in 2019. Well, the moral of the story being, be it soft drinks, aerated beverages, soda or any other sugary drinks, consuming in moderation is okay, or even better is cutting them for good. And that's the best way to keep your heart safe. Remember, it's not enough just to exercise or to eat clean. It's also important to avoid stimulants that may give you a temporary buzz but can be detrimental or even lethal in the long run. We now shift our attention to Iran's growing military capabilities and the concerns raised by the United States. Well, General Anthony J. Cotton, who is the head of U.S. Strategic Command, has warned about Iran's advancements in nuclear and missile technology. According to Cotton, Iran could potentially manufacture a nuclear weapon in as little as 1 week, in just 7 days. The general also highlighted that Tehran's ongoing work on space launch vehicles could drastically reduce the time needed to manufacture an intercontinental ballistic missile. Speaking during a hearing before the U.S. Senate Armed Services Committee in Washington, D.C., General Cotton explained that Iran's nuclear program continues to expand at an alarming rate. Cotton said that Tehran has increased its stockpile of highly enriched uranium and has deployed additional advanced centrifuges that can majorly cut down the time required to manufacture weapons-grade uranium. He also pointed out that this timeline has shrunk Iran's capability of building a nuclear weapons from 10 to 15 days earlier, which Iran would take to manufacture a nuclear weapon, to less than a week. That's less than 7 days. He said that Iran has the largest arsenal of conventional ballistic missile in the region. These missiles have already been used in attacks, including strikes on Israel last year. Just for a reminder here, on October 1st last year, Iran launched around 200 ballistic missiles towards Israel as retaliation for Israel's alleged assassination of Hamas, Hezbollah and IRGC leaders. Furthermore, Cotton said, Tehran has been supplying advanced conventional weapons to non-state militia groups across West Asia, leading to attacks on U.S. and allied personnel and interests. General Cotton also spoke about Iran's advancements in space technology, specifically the development of the Simorgh satellite carrier rocket. This two-stage liquid fuel rocket, he said, has the technological similarities to an ICBM and could have a range of approximately 4,000 kilometers while carrying a payload of around 1,000 kilograms. Another development that Cotton highlighted is the growing ties between Iran, Russia and North Korea.
There's a little different nuance. That is the new relationship that we're seeing that's happening between Russia and the DPRK. So we're talking about DPRK, we're talking about Iran, we're talking about China, as well as the Russian Federation. That's why I call them the third-party influencers, because what they could do is they could be a distraction for the main effort that could be, that could be launched by any one of those that we had mentioned.
Well, Cotton's warnings about Tehran comes as the U.S. ramps up its campaign against the Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen. And that's following a military offensive launched on March 15th. U.S. President Donald Trump has clearly said that any attack by the Houthis would be viewed as an attack by Iran itself against the U.S. Meanwhile, U.S. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard provided additional insights during a separate Senate Intelligence Committee hearing. She stated that while Iran is not currently pursuing a nuclear weapon, discussions about nuclearization have intensified within Tehran's leadership. She also noted that Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium has reached unprecedented levels for a country without nuclear weapons. And adding to all these concerns, Iranian state media recently released footage showcasing an underground missile facility. We told you about this yesterday on the show. The footage showed rows of ballistic missiles stored underground, underscoring Iran's expanding missile capabilities. Well, as tensions rise in West Asia, Cotton's comments highlight the growing military might of Iran and its strategic alliances in the region. All right, we now turn our attention to North Korea. The country has been actively pushing the boundaries of military technology. And in the latest such instance, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un personally oversaw the testing of advanced suicide drones equipped with AI, with artificial intelligence. Our next report telling you more.
A fixed-wing unmanned aerial vehicle targets a tank-like structure. Seconds later, it erupts into flames. In the background, you can see Kim Jong-un walking with his aides. A massive drone, larger than even a typical fighter jet, is positioned on a tarmac in the background, with Kim Jong-un observing it closely as it takes flight. These are just some of the visuals of North Korea showcasing its latest military might. And that's not all. During the demonstration, North Korea also showcased its upgraded reconnaissance drones, capable of identifying tactical targets and monitoring enemy activities both on land and at sea, to bolster their military's surveillance and combat capabilities. North Korea's ambitions extend beyond drones. The regime also unveiled its first airborne early warning aircraft, a system designed to enhance its aging air defense infrastructure. Kim Jong-un was just seen last week overseeing the test firing of the country's latest anti-aircraft missile system, yet another example of Pyongyang's growing military ambitions. In the aftermath of the latest demonstration, South Korea's military said it is skeptical about the operational effectiveness of some of the weapons, further claiming that some components in these devices may be linked to Russia.
The unveiled airborne early warning aircraft today by North Korea still requires further evaluation in terms of its operational effectiveness and utility. If you see it, you will know that it appears to be quite dull, heavy and vulnerable to interception. We believe that the internal devices and components may have connections to Russia, and the model itself is an upgraded version of the one that North Korea previously owned.
South Korean officials believe Moscow has been supplying anti-air missiles and other air defense equipment to Pyongyang, in exchange for North Korea deploying troops to support Russia's war efforts in Ukraine. The developments highlight the ever-growing sophistication of North Korea's military arsenal. The increased focus on AI and unmanned technologies could pose significant challenges for its adversaries.
A massive security lapse has left the Trump administration red-faced. I'm talking about the leak from the messaging app Signal. The incident came to light when a journalist from news portal The Atlantic claimed that he was added to a group on Signal that had Trump's top cabinet members, and they were discussing military strikes on Yemen. Imagine this happened in a country which is a global superpower, has the best technology, and has Elon Musk, a tech billionaire, as one of the advisors. And this has raised several questions regarding Trump administration's intelligence sharing capabilities. However, despite embarrassment, US President Donald Trump is putting up a brave face in defending his officials. Trump tried to alleviate concerns over the leak of military plans and called it a witch hunt, and thereby downplayed the seriousness of this leak. Meanwhile, testifying to House Intelligence Committee, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard dubbed the incident a mistake. She went on further and said that no classified information was compromised in the procedure.
National Security Advisor Waltz held a press conference yesterday with a clear message. It was a mistake that a reporter was inadvertently added to a Signal chat with high-level national security principals having a policy discussion about imminent strikes against the Houthis and the effects of the strike. National Security Advisor has taken full responsibility for this, and the National Security Council is conducting an in-depth review along with technical experts working to determine how this reporter was inadvertently added to this chat. The conversation was candid and sensitive, but as the President National Security Advisor stated, no classified information was shared.
But that's not all. She went on and she dropped a shocker. Gabbard said that the encrypted app Signal comes pre-installed on government devices. So what made Gabbard make such a claim? Gabbard said that back in December, a guidance issued by the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency recommended highly targeted individuals, which includes several government personnel from the US government, to shift to apps which help in end-to-end encrypted communications. Gabbard said that Signal was one such app which was recommended to them. And Gabbard wasn't the only one to claim this. In his testimony to the Senate Intelligence Committee, CIA Director John Ratcliffe said that Signal was uploaded to his CIA devices within days of his confirmation. Now, do these claims made by Trump's officials hold enough merit? The question is, how safe is the use of the app in question? Were its security features that foolproof for US officials to use it for sharing information as sensitive as military plans of a country? Well, in the past, the Signal app has been largely unauthorized for use on government-issued devices, and not without good reason. In 2021, the Defense Department Office of the Inspector General issued multiple reports condemning a top Pentagon official for using Signal to communicate. And just last month itself, the National Security Agency reportedly warned employees of the issues that could erupt when using the Signal app, stating that the app was a high-value target to intercept sensitive information, which is precisely why the Trump administration should have exercised more caution. In yet another bizarre case, personal information like mobile numbers, email addresses, and certain passwords of Trump's top aides like Mike Waltz, Tulsi Gabbard, and Pete Hegseth have been found online. And this is according to a report by German news magazine Der Spiegel. The report said that these include cell phone numbers, email addresses, and in some cases, passwords. According to the reports, the phone numbers and email addresses, mostly current, were in some cases used for Instagram and LinkedIn profiles, cloud storage service Dropbox, and even apps that track a user's location. It said that the numbers belonging to Gabbard and Waltz were reportedly linked to accounts on messaging services WhatsApp and Signal. The German magazine further said that it left the officials exposed to having spyware installed on their devices. The magazine claimed that it had sent the provider a link to Hexet's LinkedIn profile and received Gmail address and a mobile number in return. The National Security Council said that Walt's accounts and passwords that was mentioned by the German magazine had all been changed in 2019. Even after completely backing his officials, Trump seems to be on the back foot. Trump, who brushed aside the leak as a witch hunt, did tell a Fox News reporter that he would confirm with Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth whether or not the information was classified. White House has now tapped Elon Musk to probe how Goldberg, the Atlantic journalist, was added to the Signal chat. Well, it's an unprecedented wave of embarrassment for the Trump administration and will continue to haunt the U.S. government for some time.